This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. All right, so earlier this week, I talked about some matchups that concerned me a little bit from this Cleveland Browns Pittsburgh Steelers game. Let me talk about more matchups that I think are exciting, and some of the matchups I thought about recently that could be a little bit concerning for the Cleveland Browns. Just my full overview of what I feel like this game plan is going to have to be, how the Browns will find success offensively and defensively versus the Steelers team. And I want to say this up front. If this weren't the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, I don't think we as a fan base are sweating this game as much as we're sweating it now. And I include myself in that because I know enough football to know that this should not be a difficult game for the Cleveland Browns. I know that. But something about that stadium in Pittsburgh changes things over the years. Now, a lot of that is because every team that's gone there, for the vast most part, has been terrible. So that's probably why the record is what it is. But I understand the anxiety. I understand the need for some of us to kind of stimulate that anxiety by acting as if the Steelers are more scary than they are, to make it feel like you're not crazy for feeling that. But the reason we feel that is just because we haven't seen it. It has nothing to do with what these matchups are, because these are favorable for the Cleveland Browns. Now, before I get into that, I talked about the Jed Wills, Alex Highsmith matchup being a bit of a concern of mine, right? If I look at what can go wrong with this Cleveland Browns team, this Cleveland Browns offense, is what if they're constantly behind the sticks? How do you get behind the sticks if Alex Highsmith just has Jed Wills, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean Alex Highsmith has to go off for 4 sacks, but what if Jed's jumping a lot? He's holding a lot. You get a lot of penalties off that left side because you just can't contain Alex Highsmith one-on-one. So that's a big one. We've talked all week about the DeJuan Jones, TJ Watt matchup. I think styles make fights. And I think I don't hate that style matchup for DeJuan Jones. Doesn't guarantee success. Look, there's going to be times where DeJuan Jones is going to be made to look like a rookie because that's TJ Watt. Let's be real about it. But other than that, there are some other matchups I find interesting, especially from the Browns offensive side versus this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And that's supposed to be the strength of this Pittsburgh Steelers team, is this defense. How do you attack them? My number one thing is, I think the Browns should run the ball early, see if they can get it going. They're going to have Larry Ogunjobi in there more often. They're going to have a rookie in Keanu Benton in there more often because of the injury to Cam Hayward. Why not find out if they can stop the run, test those linebackers, see if they're going to be able to make up for it, and see if they're going to be able to do it for 4 quarters. Right? Because they might be able to do it for the first drive or two, but once it sets in that they're tackling Nick Chubb, once Nick Chubb gets that first set of first downs, that's when it's going to become a lot more difficult. Early in the game, they're going to have all the energy, all the juice in the world, home game, Monday Night Football, all that stuff. But let's see if they can do that consistently throughout the night. I would love to test that. So that's the one thing there. If we're talking about the run game, I think that they're probably going to try the run game until it doesn't work. If they have to go heavy into the pass game, what happens when you force Pittsburgh to go 8 men in the box and you get these one-on-one matchups with Amari Cooper versus Patrick Peterson? We saw Patrick Peterson did fine when he was playing a little bit of the slot, did fine when he was playing some zone coverage stuff. I expect that they just don't let Pat play outside corner as much as they did the week before, because it's obvious he cannot handle those responsibilities anymore. Brandon Ayuk just victimized him for like 60 and 2 touchdowns easy on his head alone. He had 120 and 2 touchdowns for the whole game. So That's not a guy that you want to leave on a pure route runner like an Amari Cooper. We saw what Ayuk did to him. We can infer that Cooper could do something similar to him, if not more. And then if you're talking about pure route runners, Elijah Moore also a very crisp route runner in his own respect. So I don't know if you really want to leave those guys one-on-one. They put Minkah in the slot in their last game. I don't think they do that again. I think they're going to let Minkah play his natural free safety position and put Pat Pete in that slot role, because it's just they're a better defense when Minkah has more freedom there. So if we're talking about matchups, if they do keep Pat Pete on that outside corner position and if they do let him play some man on the outside, I think Amari Cooper can cook him. I think Elijah Moore can cook him. I would test it. I would test it if I were Deshaun to see if you could just blow that open at the beginning of the game, because I trust that they can. David Njoku versus whoever they have play slot. So let's say it is Pat Pete. Let's say it is Minkah. Try to get those matchups. If it's Minkah, you want to be a little more hesitant on it. If it's Pat Pete, I would take those matchups because the size difference I think is important there. And also if you can get David matched up with one of their linebackers, I very much like that matchup because I think Davis is more athletic than both of those guys, bigger, stronger, all of that. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a week where you see the Browns throw a good amount of screens, tight end screens, halfback screens. I would not be shocked, right? I think that Tomlin's going to try to blitz, try to attack these edges, will try to attack these tackles. I think Kevin knows that, and he's going to try to slow that down with a mix of running the ball and a mix of creative screens. And we know when Kevin gets creative with the screens, they go to the tight end. Don't expect it to be David Njoku all the time. Jordan Atkins might get some of these screens, and watch out for that because he's a little bit more fluid of an athlete with the ball in his hands than David. Not a better tight end, not a better blocker, but a little bit more fluid of a tight end. And I think that is something to watch out for. So David, in that area, that's going to be important. I think David Njoku in general is going to be an important piece to this attack. I think Coop, Elijah Moore, obviously important. Maybe you feel like you can sneak in a Marquise Goodwin big play here because they don't have great cover corners and they have a rookie corner in I forget the kid out of Penn State, but they have a rookie corner in that situation too, a good one, but a rookie corner still nonetheless. And I think that's a matchup in which the Browns can take advantage of. So offensively, I'm going to be honest with you. It should be more of a conservative game. Take your shots, right? Run the ball, but take your shots. You're going to get some opportunities. For Deshaun Watson specifically, patience is everything. Take what's there. Play in the structure of the offense, then they're going to break things down to adjust. And that's when you start to do your Deshaun Watson stuff, right? Break out of stuff, play out of structure, do something that people aren't expecting, stretch the field vertically, but put Pittsburgh into submission with the run game, with some screens, with some easy, quick throws. Just tire them out. You know how Pittsburgh is. They love to get that energy going fast. They love to run on that juice. They love to celebrate all that. But if you just slow them down, get them on those 6-7 minute drives early in the game, and then if your defense gets a 3 and out or 2, which is possible versus this Pittsburgh offense, I mean, they've gone 3 and out a lot, then all of a sudden that defense doesn't have that juice anymore. They don't have the same energy. They don't have the aggression, the will to win up front. And then you can start killing them with the run. Once they get worried about that, they're going to pressure the box. Then you'll get these one-on-one shots with their inferior corners. And you can take those and you can go to the bank. But you got to start slow. You just got to come in taking what's there. Slow start to the game. Long drives. I'm fine with that. That should be the plan for this offense. Low margin of error, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers offense gives that team a low margin of error for victory. We know what that's like. We had it with Jacoby last year where we couldn't make very many mistakes. We had to get these long sustained drives. All of these things had to happen in order for the Browns to have success. What teams lost to the Browns last year is the ones that made those mistakes, the big ones. Why has the Pittsburgh Steelers never gone below 500 under Mike Tomlin? Because Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches to have when you have low margin of error, because he doesn't make that many errors, right? He takes advantage of them. Competency can win you football games here. So I need everybody on the Cleveland Browns offense to understand, hey, it's going to be a little bit of a slow drip early. I know you want to come out fires blazing and everything going and fireworks exploding. It's going to be a slow drip. Take what's there, frustrate them, long drives, you get some 3 and outs on defense, and then that's when you can attack. Got to play the game here. That's the game to play on offense. Defensively, admittedly, it's not as long as a sheet of matchups, right? That's the less intriguing part of this Pittsburgh Steelers team, and I think the Browns do match up well. There are a couple of matchups I am interested to see. George Pickens on Martin Emerson. I think that's a good matchup for the Cleveland Browns. I think Martin Emerson and George Pickens are perfect to fight each other, and I think that Emerson's a better matchup on that than Denzel Ward. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get Pickens on Denzel Ward more often, because they're going to realize early in the game Emerson's is not to be tried there. And then Pratt Freiermuth versus a blitz-heavy scheme. They have to find a way to make sure that they close this middle of the field and force Kenny Pickett to do what he's not comfortable with, which is targeting the middle of the field, right? I don't know if they're going to bait Kenny Pickett into it, but if I were the Browns, I would close the middle of the field and then live on the island with my two linebackers, 2 corners and my 2 safeties, and say, hey, beat me. Now, if you're going to do that, you need to be able to close the middle of the field in your nickel sets, which means you're going to need an extra DB out there, which means you're going to take a linebacker off the field. So Grant Delpit, you're going to need him to cover Freiermuth, going to need him to do a good job. Him and Greg Newsome and the combination of JLK, that triangle of defensive players needs to do a good job on Freiermuth, because you don't want to let Kenny Pickett get comfortable. You don't want to let him find any comfort throughout the periods of this game. If you do that, if you're successful with making sure that Kenny Pickett is as uncomfortable as possible, it's gonna look like it did on Sunday for the Pittsburgh Steelers on that offensive end. They're not a great offense. And what I mean by that is no disrespect to the people on that team, but it is disrespectful to the coaching staff of that team. Matt Canada is universally recognized as not a good offensive coordinator. I talk to Steeler fans who say this, and not like how Browns fans just say it about Kevin because like they don't like certain things in the offense. Like legitimately, we're talking about schematic things. He ran 4 vert on like the 3-yard line. This stuff you don't even do in Madden, right? He's not the greatest offensive coordinator in the world. He really has a couple of tricks. One of his tricks is trying to get Freiermuth up that seam and attacking that area. If you close the middle of the field, you take that away. Now Kenny's throwing one-on-one balls on the outside. We feel like we got the corners to win a couple of those matchups and really frustrate him. Then you talk about from the line of scrimmage, this is a decent offensive line. It's not, I don't know if it's better than the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll find out. But I think they're going to be better equipped for some of the stuff that the Browns do. But still, I think you should be able to win some of those battles, get in those 5-man fronts, let your corners live on those islands, and I think you're going to be fine there. The big thing for this Browns defense, and it's the thing for the Browns overall in this game, don't make the big mistake, right? Kenny Pickett is not to be feared. Don't make it easier for him. Don't be so worried he's going to do this that you lose your responsibility. Make him earn it, because I don't think he can. If he does, color me shocked. I'll be happy to admit I was wrong. Well, not happy. I'll admit I'm wrong. But I don't think he can beat you. You just play him straight up. Don't give him no benefit of the doubt. Don't think he's better than he is. Just play him straight up. I don't think he can beat you. I don't think he has the arm talent to. I don't think he has the accuracy to. I don't think he is the caliber of quarterback that can beat you if you force him to beat you. Don't make anything easy. Close the middle of the field. Let him try to make top tier throws, because I don't think he's a top tier throw quarterback. If you force him to do that, and I said this in my earlier breakdown, I'll say it again. For the safeties in this game, for the linebackers in this game, for everybody in this game, in the defense, the interceptions are going to be there. He is going to throw one to you. You just got to catch it. It's going to tip off somebody. It's going to be out there. You might get a strip sack. The turnovers will be available. You just got to be in position to get the ball. This Pittsburgh Steelers offense does not do anything that should worry this Browns defense. They don't run the ball well enough to have you concerned. Najee Harris is not fast enough to worry about getting to the edge or anything versus all these fast linebackers that the Browns like to play. Maybe you could be concerned that, hey, he's so big that he's hard to tackle, but he's not Derrick Henry. He's proven that already. He's not Derrick Henry still has more burst than him. He's not Derrick Henry. So I think you can get to him in a nickel set, use that speed to get underneath him and just take him out in the legs before he gets downhill. And even if Najee gets downhill, he's not that powerful of a runner once he goes downhill. I have nothing to fear there. Jaylen Warren, maybe he's a little bit more explosive, but the vision doesn't look that great. I don't love it. So I don't think that's there. George Pickens, I think, he's not as difficult to cover as any of those Bengals wide receivers. I think he has a couple of routes that he does really well. He's a great athlete. He's a long guy. He uses that length and physicality. I feel fine with Martin Emerson there. The Browns just gotta do what they do. No big mistakes. Don't get some roughing the passer calls. Don't get any stupid penalties. Play them straight up. Force them to beat you. I don't think they're capable. I don't think they're capable from a schematic standpoint. I don't think they're capable from a talent standpoint. I think that you should be able to dominate this game defensively, and I don't think that would be a big deal if you did it. So when I look at this game, for the Cleveland Browns, how did the Cleveland Browns win this game? What should the game plan be? Offensively, don't make Pittsburgh's life easier than it needs to be. If you can run the ball, just run it. If you can throw it on them, just throw it. Be safe. No, you don't got to do anything extra. I don't think they're going to be able to put up more than 20 points on you, and I think 20 points is a lot for them. Like, that's a lot. Now, I don't think they're getting over 20, right? You play a smart game, you play a focused game, and you play a physical game with Pittsburgh. You show up to play. You're a better team. You should win this game. Unless you let TJ Watt blow up the game plan. Unless you let Alex Highsmith blow up the game plan. Unless Deshaun Watson throws 3 interceptions because he's not being patient, waiting for things to open up, and he's just throwing balls left and right. Okay, then you allow them to get in position to win the game. And if you do that with Pittsburgh, they're going to win because that's what they do. Their ability to win this football game is entirely dependent on the Cleveland Browns. Whether the Cleveland Browns win or lose this game, on Tuesday morning, we're going to be talking about the Cleveland Browns because either they cost them the game or they won themselves that game. But it's going to be up to them. That's my thoughts on Monday Night Football. That's my thoughts about the matchup. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.